Hey everyone, welcome to Smart Course, the go-to place for authoritative information and strategies for special needs and learning disorders, especially ADHD. All of the information in this video comes from authoritative sources like Attitude Magazine, chad.org, and understood.org. Today, we're going to talk about a few celebrities with ADHD and other learning disorders. We talk in our Benefits of ADHD video about just that, some of the benefits of having ADHD. And the people we'll talk about today are incredible examples of wonderful, successful, talented, emulated, and well-loved people who just happen to have ADHD. First in this video, we're going to talk about some of those celebrities with ADHD, and then we'll talk about some celebrities with other learning disorders. As we all know, ADHD isn't uncommon or rare. While there is a lot of misunderstanding and confusion around ADHD, it's not like no one's ever heard of it. Yet, off the top of your head, how many people do you actually know of with ADHD? Especially if it's not you or someone in your family or a close friend. Probably not many. An ADHD diagnosis is not a sentence to a lifetime of setbacks and impossible hurdles or a loss of control. That's not to say it's not sometimes challenging to have ADHD, but learning more about it and understanding what works for each person makes those challenges much more manageable. So, let's go through some familiar faces who also have ADHD. Simone Biles, who won 4 gold medals in the 2016 Olympics. She's practically the 8th wonder of the world and is a sensational gymnast. She also has ADHD. Now, it's important to note this wasn't information that was just volunteered publicly. Her personal medical information, along with many other athletes at the time, was hacked and publicly released without her knowledge or consent, which is pretty harrowing for anyone. Despite this, Simone Biles took it all in stride and even sent out a tweet saying, "Having ADHD and taking medicine for it is nothing to be ashamed of, nothing that I'm afraid to let people know," which is a great testament to the importance of embracing ADHD and working with it rather than against it. She was diagnosed with ADHD as a child and was still taking medication for it when she competed in the Olympics. She was approved to continue taking her medication throughout the event, as it didn't give her an unfair advantage. Was her diagnosis something she had the right to keep private? Absolutely. But once that information was released, at no point did she ever try to hide it, nor was she shameful about it. She was very honest and matter-of-fact about it. Almost like asking someone how tall they are or how old they are. It wasn't a big deal. Still in the world of sports, next up is Michael Phelps, another athlete who needs no introduction. He currently holds 28 medals, 23 of which are gold medals. Like Simone Biles, he was diagnosed with ADHD as a child. He experienced a lot of challenges with focus and couldn't really sit still. Teachers even told his mother he couldn't focus on anything. Both Phelps and his mother receiving doubt from teachers and peers is very heartbreaking, but fortunately his mother was supportive for him and was eventually able to help him find swimming as his outlet. She said, "It made me want to prove everyone wrong. I knew that if I collaborated with Michael, he could achieve anything he set his mind to." He actually didn't enjoy swimming when he first started. He said he would scream, kick, and throw his goggles. And by the way, if you also struggle with your child having meltdowns or tantrums that look anything like what Phelps described, you can check out our video with tips for how to help ease and prevent them. Anyway, yes, this world-renowned champion hated swimming when he started. However, he said once he figured out how to swim, he felt calm, in control, and the water slowed down his mind. Swimming was also a great outlet for him to release a lot of energy, which is great for someone with hyperactive presentations. What's even better about that is Phelps wants to introduce the pool as a place of refuge for kids with ADHD and other learning differences, just like it was for him. He's brought that experience to thousands of kids through swimming programs and the Michael Phelps Foundation. Shifting into music, will.i.am from the Black Eyed Peas also has ADHD. What you might not know is he also has a company that creates tech gadgets, and he runs a foundation that provides education and college scholarships to kids in low-income households. And he says his ADHD is a big factor that fuels the many things he's involved in. Like many, He also has hyperactive presentations and was called hyper as a child. However, his mother was always incredibly supportive of who he is and his artistic pursuits. He said those traits of thinking about a bunch of things and always moving around work well for him in the studio and meanings for exciting or creative pursuits. Plus, just as ADHD has helped with his music, he says music helped with his ADHD. In 2009, he created the I Am Angel Foundation to fund STEAM-oriented educational programs. This is science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. So not quite STEM. Through this foundation, he aims to ultimately help kids without resources realize their potential. Moving on is the lead singer of Maroon 5, Adam Levine, who also has ADHD. Like many other people, he also had difficulty focusing and organizing the countless thoughts going on in his head. When he was diagnosed, his parents were supportive and helped him alongside his doctor to move forward with the treatment plan. However, he still experienced difficulties as an adult and ended up going back to a doctor regarding his symptoms and learned he still had ADHD as an adult, which was affecting his career much like how it affected him when he was in school. He's an example of how not everyone outgrows their ADHD or its severity, which is completely okay. He even said ADHD isn't a bad thing, and you shouldn't feel different from those without ADHD. Another singer who has ADHD is Justin Timberlake. He doesn't really speak publicly about his ADHD, which is also a-okay. Celebrity or not, you're never obligated to tell people about your or your child's ADHD, no matter how curious they are. He's mentioned he also has OCD, or obsessive compulsive disorder, alongside his ADHD. Experiencing another condition alongside ADHD presents its own set of challenges, but it's important to note it's not rare or unheard of for ADHD to be coupled with another comorbid condition. Someone else who experiences another condition alongside ADHD is Channing Tatum. He also has dyslexia. He says he's always been drawn to the arts, so he pursued his interests despite his learning differences and said, "Whatever you do, hopefully you can use it to your benefit." Some other celebrities you may know who have ADHD are Solange Knowles, Johnny Depp, the comedian Howie Mandel, the former football player Terry Bradshaw, and even Jim Carrey. Like I just mentioned, ADHD isn't the only disorder or learning difference celebrities have. Take Whoopi Goldberg, for example. She was diagnosed with dyslexia in adulthood, which means she'd been experiencing unexplained difficulties for a really long time. However, her mother was always understanding and supportive of the fact that her daughter just learned differently. Goldberg also mentions teachers as a source of inspiration for her. She also developed tricks to work around her dyslexia, like having people read her lines to her in elementary school so she could memorize them that way instead of having to read them. She even said, "I think perhaps it being her dyslexia, made me more introspective, made me more thoughtful, maybe slightly slower in how I do things because it takes me a minute sometimes to figure things out," which isn't a bad trade-off. Some other celebrities with dyslexia are Cher, Steven Spielberg, and Anderson Cooper. Even Daniel Radcliffe has a mild form of dyspraxia, which is a neurological disorder affecting someone's ability to plan and process motor tasks. So things like writing or typing or even tying shoes can be extremely difficult, if not impossible. To kids struggling with dyspraxia, Radcliffe said not to let it stop you, and even some of the smartest people he knows also have learning disabilities. He also said, "The fact that some things are more of a struggle will only make you more determined, harder working, and more imaginative in the solutions you find to problems," which is a nice sentiment to keep in mind as challenges arise in the future. So even though he doesn't have ADHD, what he says is still very much applicable. The people I went over today are just a few of the many people who have become role models for many of us and have made significant contributions to the world, both in spite of and because of their disorders. They've all had a large impact in sports, in music, in comedy, in films, in culture, etc. It's also important to notice their relationships with their learning differences, and the importance of accepting and embracing it is very, very apparent. It's incredibly important to embrace learning differences in order to then use those qualities to your advantage and maybe even help others in the future. For an expert-curated list of resources from our past summit and videos, please visit the link in the description. If you like this video, please don't forget to like it and let us know what you liked or what you'd like to see more of in the comments below. Also, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell. We know some of you who watch our videos aren't subscribed, and a simple subscription helps us out a lot. The more people who like, subscribe, click the bell, and comment, all that jazz, the more people will see this kind of content on YouTube, and we know some people could really use this help. Also, don't forget to share this with anyone you know who could benefit from this video. If you like, subscribe, hit the bell, comment, and sign up for our upcoming summit at this link, then we will pin your comment to the top and we will send you our expert curated list of ADHD resources. We share tons of expert vetted resources on parenting and education for differently abled kids, so feel free to sign up for our newsletter using the link in the description below. If you haven't watched our previous series about ADHD and self-isolation, click the annotation to watch those videos. And if you want to support SmartCourse and help make sure we can continue bringing you content, check out our Kickstarter and membership pages. We also have an online course with even more specific information, step-by-step guides, and access to professionals who can help you through this process. As always, I appreciate you taking the time. Thank you for watching and see you soon.